Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Winter Weather Preparedness. This is a webinar in partnership between Dancing Sky Area Agency on Aging and the Northwest Regional Development Commission. And actually, Dancing Sky is a program of the Northwest Regional Development Commission, so I didn't have to reach out too far to connect with Jennifer because she's my coworker. So if you're not familiar, Dancing Sky is one of 6 area agencies on aging in the state of Minnesota. And the state is divided up by geographical regions for the area agencies on aging. And Dancing Sky is lucky enough, we cover the biggest geographical region for the area agencies on aging. We cover 21 counties in Northwest and a little bit into West Central Minnesota. And we do all kinds of services and supports and resources and information. But if I spent the entire time talking about that, we wouldn't have time to talk about winter weather preparedness. So instead, I'll just throw our website and our Facebook in the chat, and feel free to explore that. But I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Olson and let her do her little intro, and then she will share about winter weather preparedness. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Amy. You'll have to practice your dance next time. I'm Jennifer Olson. I work at the Northwest Regional Development Commission. One of my main duties actually is being the planning staff for the Northwest Emergency Managers Joint Powers Board. That is an entity that includes emergency management directors from a 14 county and 2 tribal nation area. And I've been lucky to work with members of the emergency management community since I started 20 plus years ago. Lord, that dates me. So it is just, I couldn't ask for a more fantastic crew of people working alongside emergency management and response personnel. Thank you for everybody that does what they can do to help others and keep people safe. So we'll keep this pretty informal. If there's any questions, feel free to just come in and say them, type them as you need to. There's no need to try to remember something until the end. That's fine. And before we get started, also happy Winter Hazard Awareness Week. Emergency management response partners, the Weather Service, public safety, and other agencies are actually doing a pretty big social media and other media campaign to talk about winter weather awareness, and this is a part of that. So thank you for joining and doing what you can to help others stay aware on winter weather preparedness. All right. And here we go. You're outside. This is usually kind of the start of the winter. You're enjoying the fall, looking at leaves, enjoying the warm days, and you see some of these warnings here. Generally, this kind of alert comes across your television, phone, radio, or what have you. You can see that the frost advisory slide, it really is kind of centered around that advisory is centered around the development of frost, usually around the temperature range of 33 to 36. Freeze warning really kind of in comparison goes to about lower than 32 degrees. You're looking at a hard freeze occurring here. You could see plants are damaged by a frost advisory. They're left outdoors. They're probably going to die in the freeze warning. Fond memories of helping my grandmother cover the sensitive plants when you get an early frost advisory. So just kind of the differences. Usually this is kind of signals the start of what we see in winter weather across Minnesota. We're not bored here either during the winter. There are several different kinds of winter weather precipitation that you can see. When you're looking at this slide, 32 degrees is the magic number. Under 32 degrees, the snowflakes do not melt. Above 32, the rain usually doesn't freeze. Every year is different. One year is going to be known for high amounts of moisture-laden snow. Another year could be known for lesser amounts. Mother Nature is nothing if not unpredictable here. And any given year, the snowfall patterns are driven probably kind of by a combined influence of moisture supply and temperature. And it's kind of US-wide, if not different patterns happening along some of the oceans as well. So if you're lucky, in quotes, you can experience all of this in one calendar day, depending on the snow. if you're me, this happens usually when I have somewhere to go on a tight time frame. So let's kind of see that. Here are some, in summertime, when we're talking about this, there can be minimal warning, especially when tornadoes are concerned. Those can kind of form really quite suddenly. With a lot of the events that we're talking here, there is a bit more time to plan, which is nice. It starts along with an outlook, which is just winter weather conditions are possible in the next 2 to 5 days. Usually we see that across the news or the media of your choice, watching kind of the storms form. A watch just means that winter storm conditions are possible within the next 36 to 48 hours. And then we get to the things that you see on the screen. With the winter weather advisory, you see the winter weather conditions are expected to cause significant inconveniences. It may be hazardous. If you're cautious, it does, the situation doesn't have to be life-threatening. And with the warning scenarios, you're possibly getting into that life-threatening severe weather territory, whether it's going to begin or it's beginning, within about 24 hours. So you can see through these slides, travel goes from it's okay to do not travel, depending on where you're at. Usually you can always tell when the warnings and winter weather is coming because everybody runs right to the grocery store, Walmart for the essentials. So, which is good in case you have to be stuck in the house for a few days. Many different ways for winter storms to form. All really have kind of 3 key components. Cold air, for snow and ice to form, the temperature must be below freezing in the clouds and also near the ground. Moisture, you're going to need water evaporating from bodies of water, such as a large lake. Is an example of a really good source of moisture. And lift, you need something to cause the moisture to rise, form the clouds, and precipitation. A blizzard is categorized by blowing snow at least 35-mile-an-hour winds, less than a quarter-mile visibility for at least 3 hours. And also looking, you don't need falling snow for a blizzard. If you have previously fallen snow and the wind gets high enough, you can get a ground blizzard. So it is not necessary depending on falling snow. Heavy snow, if you really have it, we've all seen it. It can immobilize a region. It can strand you somewhere. It can close airports. It can stop the flow of supplies. It can disrupt emergency and medical services. You can have housing, roof damage, trees and power lines can be having an issue if you live in a more rural area. Your home or your farm may be isolated for a period of days. And that also, if you have livestock, unprotected livestock could have damage. It's really, and then there's the economic costs. You have some of the cost of snow removal, repairing damages. You can have a really huge impact depending on some of these events. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it for a lot of people when you have a winter weather event. You could also see, what is some of this? You hear about an Alberta Clipper. Here's just kind of a pictorial kind of saying what it is. It's an area of low pressure that generally forms over the Alberta, Canada area, usually east of the Rocky Mountains. Why does it form there? Just usually because the air flowing eastward over the mountains creates the favorable conditions. This is known for the lighter snow, cold temperatures, strong winds, usually kind of a faster moving system. The other one is the Colorado low. In difference to the one that we saw before, this starts off in the Colorado, northeastern New Mexico type of area. These are known for bringing a lot more wind, heavy snow, and they can last several days as they track that eastward, northeastward through the area. And these are associated with high levels of snow. So if you hear your broadcasters or something talk about either the Colorado low, that's just kind of where some of this comes from. And the snow squalls. Snow squalls are often associated with strong cold fronts. They do move in extremely quickly. They last for less than an hour. And this main time is the main difference between a snow squall and a snowstorm. It's a really sudden whiteout condition combined with falling temperatures. It can make an icy road in just a few minutes. And these can also occur when there is no large-scale winter storm in processes in in progress as well. So it does not need a winter storm to occur. Extreme localized hit impacts to the traveling public as well as to commerce for a short period of time. Again, if you're caught in one, try not to drive. But if you are caught in one, slow down, try not to slam your brakes on, turn on your lights. Allow plenty of distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. And if you can, just remember, if it's difficult for you to go outside, it may be difficult to responders to get to you if you're traveling in a vehicle. So definitely try to monitor your weather alerts. If you have the ability to get a wireless emergency alert on your phone, these can be triggered by the National Weather Service. So you can get a chance to know when these are actually coming. Wind chill, watches and warnings. What is it? It's basically the temperature feels like outside. It's based on the rate of heat loss from your exposed skin caused by things such as wind and cold. As the wind increases, your body is cooled at a faster rate, and it just causes the skin temperature to drop. And it really doesn't impact inanimate objects, such as car radiators and stuff, because these objects really can't cool beyond the actual air temperature. National Weather Service will tell you when the wind chill conditions reach critical thresholds. Wind chill warning is issued when wind chill temperatures are life-threatening. The advisory is issued when the temperatures are potentially hazardous. And definitely pay attention to this. If you're stuck outside in this, it can cause all sorts of damage that we're going to talk about here a little later. Dressing for cold weather related emergencies, wear layers of loose, light-fitting, warm clothing. You're going to want to do this because the trapped air in between the layers are going to insulate you. Wear a hat. 40% of all your body heat can be lost from your head alone. Try to cover your mouth when it gets really cold to protect your lungs from that extreme cold, and try to stay dry and out of the wind if it's possible. Make sure the inner layers that you're wearing can hold body heat and don't absorb moisture, wool or something like that. Your insulation layer, fleece, wool, down is really good. Something to keep and trap the heat in your outer layer. If you can get something that's waterproof or windproof, that is fantastic. Do not ignore shivering. It's the first sign that your body is losing heat, and it's time to go inside. And also excess sweating will cause you to actually lose more heat. So remove extra layers of clothing when you feel too warm. A lot of times if you're outside, if you're doing some exercising, cross-country skiing, what have you, this is something to remember as well. Because if you're outside in it too long, you could get frostbite. I was going to put a picture of frostbite, and then I Googled what frostbite looks like, and maybe not. Frostbite is an injury to the body caused by freezing body tissue. Most susceptible things are your extremities, fingers, toes, earlobes, tip of your nose. Your symptoms here that you have a loss of feeling in the extremity. You can have, depending on what stage you're at, anywhere from red skin to white skin, to hard black skin, depending on the cold exposure does affect deeper layers of skin the longer you are exposed to it. And if you're in it really long, there's a chance that the damage can be permanent and the tissue will die. So if you have poor blood circulation, if you're not properly dressed for the cold, you are more at risk for frostbite. So definitely pay attention in here if you have frostbite. What to do. Sometimes you don't know that you have frostbite. If your tissue is numb, sometimes you're not going to be able to know. Sometimes someone else will tell you. Obviously, medical attention is needed for frostbite. You can slowly rewarm the area, get them into a warm room as soon as possible. Try not to walk on feet or toes that have signs of frostbite. It can increase the damage. Don't rub the area with snow or massage it at all. It can cause more damage, especially if that area is numb. Put areas in frostbite in warm water. Don't do hot water at all. Temperature should be comfortable to the touch for unaffected parts of the body. If you don't have hot water, use your body heat. put it in an armpit or something like that. And be very careful. Don't use heating pads, heat lamps, stoves, or anything else, because if your skin is numb, it can easily burn and the person may not be able to know. So, and then again, if you're right along with that is hypothermia, it's an abnormally low body temperature, probably below 95 degrees. It's when your body is losing heat faster than it's when it's being produced. And out of the elements when you're out in the elements for a very long time, it's eventually going to use up your body's stored energy as well. Warning signs: uncontrollable shivering, memory loss, disorientation, incoherent, slurred speech, drowsiness. You can kind of look exhausted. Some of the reasons why that is: your body temperature, if it gets too low, it will affect your brain, making someone with hypothermia maybe unable to think clearly or to move well. It can make it extremely dangerous because the person may not know that it's happening and may not be able to do anything about it. And while hypothermia is very likely at cold temperatures, it doesn't need to be just in winter. If you come from like rain, if you're submersed in really cold water, you can also have hypothermia from that. So this is not just a wintertime thing. The photo is not me, but the first snow of the season. I probably kind of feel like that. Medical attention is needed immediately if you do have hypothermia, especially if that body temperature gets really low. Begin warming the body slowly. Do not warm the person too quickly. If you immerse something in really rapid warming kind of thing, it could cause a heart arrhythmia. Definitely warm the trunk first, not the extremities. Warming the feet or hands first is a lot of times what people try to do. This can cause shock. If you have an electric blanket or something, you can wrap it around. Skin to skin contact also under loose, dry layers of clothing, blankets. Warm drinks could help. Just watch the temperature, and definitely don't give beverages to an unconscious person, and probably stay away from alcoholic drinks as well. If you're going to use a hot water bottle or a chemical pack, wrap it in a towel or blanket before you're going to apply. And also, once the body temperature has increased, keep the person dry, wrap them in a warm blanket, and CPR, always a good skill to know. But definitely, if someone has hypothermia, get in touch with local emergency responders or 911. Hopefully you're not, don't get caught off guard here. Keep aware of the local weather. You don't want to get caught outside in any kind of event. If you are, try to find some shelter, try to stay dry, cover all exposed body parts. Hopefully you can be in the car, build a lean-to or some kind of get to the trees, kind of tree break. Do what you can to get out of get the protection from the wind, some kind of snow. Build a fire for heat, and if you can, melt snow for drinking water. If you eat the unmelted snow, it's just going to lower your body temperature that much faster. Move around, keep that blood circulating, keep warm. And obviously, when you're outside, don't overexert yourself either. Shoveling heavy snow, pushing the car. If you're not in good health, that could really kind of be an effect on your body, and we'll talk about that a little later. So, but the stress from the strain from the cold, the hard labor can cause heart attacks. So no one wants that. We're looking at the vehicle go kit as well. Great things to do on the slide here. Takeaway, get creative, build something for you. None of it's wrong. Just kind of things to talk about. You see jumper cables up there now. Technology is a wonderful thing. Now you can have booster packs that actually don't need another vehicle anymore to charge. Some people like to have a portable charger for electronics that they carry with them. Obviously check some of your windshield wiper fluid, use an appropriate wintertime mixture. Wiper blades, make sure those are in good condition. If they're streaky when it's nice weather, that's not going to help when it starts to get icy. Make sure your tires are okay. Good tread, air pressure. If they're worn, you're not going to want to skid around on some kind of ice conditions. Keep your vehicle in good working order as well. If your heater, defroster, brakes, brake fluid, ignition, flashers, your battery, a winter storm is not the time to figure out that you should have maintained it. So, and some people also, if you're going to get caught just doing the plug, do a stay at home go kit as well. That's always a good thing. But if you are stuck in the car, sometimes tie a move what you need from the trunk into the passenger area. Try not to keep going out and in, preserve warmth. Figure out a way, whether it's a cloth to the antenna, something where people know you're in there. Wrap up your body, stay awake, run the motor once in like 10 minutes or so, but make sure your exhaust pipe is clear and everything else. If you are stuck in the car, you do not want to get carbon monoxide poisoning at all. You try to move around, improve your circulation, and huddle together for warmth as you can. So, just looking on here, definitely build a kit, because if you are stuck in the car, you're going to want that stuff with you. And replenish it as well. If you have a kit from 2 years ago, any food you have, you will probably not want to be eating it. So replace it every year. But obviously, if you do have to drive, take it slow. Minnesota 511, a great way to be able to know what the weather conditions are. They even have cameras now to be able to see the road conditions that get refreshed at a pretty regular rate. Be patient during this time. Snowplows are usually working to improve the road conditions for your trip. Definitely buckle up, you and any passengers. Try to avoid travel if the conditions are too poor. Keep your headlights on. Do not drive distracted during really bad conditions. If the plows are out, try to stay back at least 5 car lengths behind the plow. They'll pull over. You don't want to crowd the plow or pass in a circumstance where you don't see the traffic coming in at you. The plow may also travel over the center lines and other areas to make sure that the road condition is improved. So slow down at a safe speed, give yourself plenty of travel time. Because you don't know if the roads look wet, they could be slick. Sometimes you just can't tell. Make sure your car is pretty clear of ice and snow. You don't want snow or ice flying off your car, hitting someone else, or to have someone else's debris hit you. And then if you're driving and you do begin to skid, easier said than done, but try to be calm. Don't panic. Ease your foot off the gas. Don't slam your brakes on, especially if you have an anti-lock braking system on your car. And if you need to pull over safely, if I do find a safe spot, if you have to pull over, don't pull over in the middle of the road. There's so many different white cars and everything else that someone may not be able to see you, and you don't want another car to end up hitting you. Definitely use your flashers, brake lights, and if you do have to pull over safely. Black ice is something we talked about. It is a deadly driving hazard. It's patchy ice on roadways or other transportation services that cannot easily be seen. It is not black in color. It is transparent, but you can see the roadway underneath. It can form, there's a real big risk of slippage and loss of traction from black ice. It's more prevalent at night. Just use caution, especially when you have that freeze and refreeze type of situation going on. This is just kind of a random, kind of fun comment. Why do bridges freeze first? It's just mostly because of the air circulation. It circulates above and below the surface of the elevated roadway, causing the pavement the temperature on the pavement to fall a little more rapidly than some of the roadways around it. So be careful when you are going through bridges. Sometimes they may be a little icier than the roadways around it. Minnesota is the land of 10,000 lakes. When you are outdoors, remember that ice is really never 100% safe. Snow cover, air temperature, the sun, time of year, water depth, wind, current, all these are factors that do affect ice depth, and it's up to you to understand these variables and make the responsible decisions when it does come to traveling and being outside on the ice. Never just assume ice is safe is because someone's out there. They could maybe not be aware of the variables that affect ice strength. It's always a good idea to talk to local experts before heading on the water. And no matter how well you know a water body, remember conditions change constantly. So be prepared with the essential safety gear and check ice thicknesses really before you go. Um, oops, and you can see here's from the DNR some of the thicknesses that they recommend. Um, Unsafe, you can see areas with flowing water could lead to some ice issues, streams, under bridges, culverts, late season, close to shore, could be melting first, some stream inlets, shallow water, heavy aquatic vegetation sometimes affects the ice thicknesses. Sometimes even near rocks, bridges, something that can absorb heat from the sun can have thinner ice or open water near them. Be really safe on the ice. Don't just assume just because someone has their snowmobile or four-wheeler out there that you're fine to go drive on it. And a lot of even like local bait shops, there are people all over different lakes that will be able to tell you safely if you can go on there. And then we talked on the previous slide, we did look at some ways to be able to test yourself and to make sure things are safe. Because you don't want to be that guy right there. That's terrible. Obviously, if this happens to you, try not to panic. That's easier said than done. If this happens to you, the first 2 to 3 minutes, you're probably going to see a cold shock response. You may gasp, hyperventilate, definitely panic. No one wants this. Within the first 30 minutes, if you don't get out, swim failure, your muscles, you can see loss of muscle coordination, rapid cooling of arms and legs. It will impact your ability to keep your head above the water. And the lower your core temperature goes, the loss of consciousness is a possibility, and that can increase the risk of drowning. So obviously try not to remove your winter clothes. You want to make sure that you have that air trapped between, could possibly give you a little bit of warmth and flotation. Don't keep going to where the ice is. Try to turn the direction which you came. Put your hands on the unbroken surface. If you have any ice picks, screwdrivers, pair of nails, anything to be able to get yourself on the ice. Once you're on there, lie flat. Don't just get up and try to walk away, lie flat. Try to spread out your weight all over the ice. And if someone that you know is falling in the ice, don't just run out there to try to get the person, distribute your weight as well, because you don't want to fall in the ice trying to rescue someone else. And obviously, get someone, do some of the things that we talked about earlier with hypothermia. Once you start going, cold blood wrapped in your extremities can come rushing back to your heart after you rewarm if you don't rewarm the right way, and the shock of the chilled blood can cause heart attack, death. So warm up the kind of the right way. Also, we talked before, hypothermia, it isn't just the winter time. If you're boating and you're stuck in cold water, wear a life jacket. That would probably help keep you buoyant and floating. There's another terrible situation here. If your car, obviously you can see this, I believe this photo was taken in Canada and these people got away. They got safely. You can see that I believe the people in the back tore down the seat and popped the trunk and got out through the trunk. You can see the driver opened up the door. Try to get away before the car sinks, not after. You do have some time that it could be airtight and more buoyant, just depending on the vehicle. Because once it's down, once the car is completely submerged, it's going to probably sink head first. If it's got an engine in the front, it's a possibility that the car could land on its roof. If there's an air bubble in there, it just kind of depends on the vehicle. You're probably going to have reduced air if your car is on the bottom. And Your car could be upside down. There's going to be silt. It's dark. It's freezing water. Don't wait, because your chances of escape may be kind of diminished at that point. So just be safe if this does happen to you. Obviously, if it gets cold, nowhere to go. There are a lot of places, if it is cold, will open up. There's places to be warm. And really serious events, there are shelters and things open. But a little weatherization goes a long way for cold temperatures. Is your heating system checked? Is your water heater inspected? A lot of people do double pane windows, storm doors, plastic wrap stuff. Drain your sprinklers. Clean up your gutters to get rid of those ice jams. Obviously, picture on there is water. For some individuals, depending on your house, can probably remember leaving the taps open so that they drip to make sure that the pipes aren't frozen. Making sure your house is warm so that things don't freeze. Obviously, if your pipes are frozen, don't thaw them out with a torch. Thaw them slowly. I remember my parents used to send me with the hair dryer and sit there on the pipe. So just all the different things. This does go a long way, and there may be assistance for weatherization and heating. It can get expensive to heat your home during the winter, and that would be something to check within your location, your own locality, wherever you're living. Because honestly, you can see here, it's just interesting stats. 1 of every 7 home fires and 1 of every 5 home fire deaths does involve heating equipment. So definitely be smart in terms of heating your house. You can see here, they're talking about inspecting your vents, and that is on your chimney, and that is important for carbon monoxide poisoning. Propane, this is how some people also heat their home. It does have a strong, unpleasant smell, like rotten eggs or skunk or dead animal or whatever. They add that smell to keep you safe. You smell any kind of smell like that in your home, you could possibly have a gas leak. Knowledge about how to turn off any utility in your home, always a good idea here. But keep your propane tanks at a healthy level during the winter. Schedule a delivery before the tank is empty. In the event of this picture here, if you were out, this would make it very difficult for a delivery driver to come in and refill the tank to keep your house warm. This would be extremely bad if the tank was empty and needed to be refilled. A lot of people clear a path to the tank, make sure that the tank is visible. Sometimes, depending on your backyard and how stuff blows in, do you need a flag? Do you need a stake? Things like that. So definitely make sure to monitor your levels and get things refilled. If it is a major snowstorm, delivery drivers may not be able to instantaneously be able to refill this. If you do have a power outage, you're going to want to stay warm. Obviously, close the blinds or curtains if you need to keep in some heat. Close off the rooms that you're not using. Dress appropriately in layers. Know the equipment to kind of have on hand here. And we've talked about this before. Sometimes a non-cordless telephone is nice, just to make sure that you have telephone service. Full gas tank or a full tank of gas in your car. If it gets really cold, you can always go in there for some heat. Just different things that you can have on hand. Coolers, ice. You saw the temperature gauge on here. Here's kind of why, depending on how long the power outage is here, is going to determine whether the food you keep in your fridge is safe. You can see the time frames on the slide. Throw away food, honestly, that's been exposed to temperatures for an extraneous amount of time. If it has an unusual odor, color, or mixture, or any kind of texture, be aware of that in circumstances like this. When in doubt, just throw it out. And don't think that, don't rely just on appearance or odor to determine its safety. Some food is gonna look and smell fine, but if they've been at room temperature too long, some bacteria can start growing really quickly, and some of these bacteria cannot be destroyed by cooking either. So if you are going to move stuff out of your fridge, definitely prioritize usage. If you have to open the door, have a plan, kind of take out as much as you can at the time, because no one wants to deal with a fridge full of food there after about a couple days. What comes off will come back on. If the power very suddenly turns off, sometimes when it comes back on, it will surge back on, and technology and some appliances are very affected by this. Sometimes it's nice to disconnect those appliances. Definitely make sure you have surge protection on your on all your outlets, because the spike can damage equipment. Make sure you have at least one light on, to be able to see when the lights are coming on. You don't want to have everything turned off and here you've had power for however many hours and you didn't know. If you are going to travel during an outage, especially if you're in a larger city, know that traffic lights and other things will be affected. So you may have some congested roads and travel difficulties in situations with no power. Power outages, if you're going to heat your home, alternatively, do it really safely. If you have a generator, make sure it's rated for the power that you think you're going to need in the house. If you're using space heaters, they need constant watching. Turn them off when you leave home and before bedtime. Some now have a protection where if it tips over, it turns off. They all do not. If you have a pet, sometimes it's easier for pets to tip them over. Make sure all your cords are in good condition. Check them for any fray or breakage. Obviously, if it feels hot or if the outlet feels hot, turn it off, give it a break, and don't dry mittens or combustibles over a space or a portable heater. That is a huge fire issue. So, because you're not going to want carbon monoxide by any stretch of the imagination here. And obviously on the previous case, know where your fire extinguisher is. Is it charged up? Do you know how to use it? That's a huge, huge mitigation strategy for fire. Talked about space heaters, carbon monoxide, having a detector for this is extremely important. Carbon monoxide is in the fumes from cars, portable generators, heating systems. Unintentional carbon monoxide poisons result in emergency department visits, hospitalization, and death. Many poisonings can be prevented with proper use and the maintenance of carbon monoxide alarms. Try to have them on different levels of your house. Always remember too that sometimes a carbon monoxide alarm at a lower level of your house is nice. I know some smoke alarms have carbon monoxide detectors as well, but sometimes those are at the top of your house and it may not help if the carbon monoxide is sitting at a lower level of your house. What does carbon monoxide poisoning mean? You could have dizziness, headaches, weakness, upset stomach. You could be vomiting, chest pain, confusion. The symptoms kind of are a little bit flu-like. This is how some people have described them. If you breathe in a lot of carbon monoxide, it will make you pass out or kill you. So people that are sleeping or possibly inebriated, they can die from carbon monoxide poisoning before they even have the symptoms. So it is a huge threat. So knowing that you have an alarm that will let you know if this is building up will help you. It is an odorless, tasteless, invisible gas. Unintentional poisoning does have prevention strategies. Make sure all of your fuel burning appliances and heating devices are properly installed, vented, and maintained. And if you are in a situation, don't use a generator, a charcoal grill, a camp stove, or any kind of gasoline or charcoal burning device inside your house. Be careful also, not just your home. Basements, if you're heating a garage, even in a fish house, if you are doing a little bit of ice fishing, carbon monoxide can build up anywhere. So definitely be safe in circumstances like this. And obviously, don't overload plugins with heat producing devices. Keep combustibles away from any kind of heat sources here. there is a higher level of home fires occurring in December, January, and February. And once the heavy snow comes, this work doesn't stop. Be careful when you're outside. Shoveling heavy, wet snow can cause issues ranging from back injuries up to something as serious as a heart attack. If you are older, if some individuals are inactive, if you have previous injuries, be careful when you're outside. Take it easy. It is a snow shoveling, excuse me, depending on the weight. Can be a weightlifting exercise. It will raise your heart rate, it will raise your blood pressure. Definitely warm up and stretch. And if you can get out there and do it when it's still relatively powdery, it is easier to shovel than the wet, packed down snow. Push it forward instead of kind of lifting it out. Make sure your back is okay if you do have to do this. Hopefully, a lot of people do have a snow blower, and take a break. Honestly, watch for exhaustion. If your chest feels tight, stop immediately with this. Really be safe if you are getting out there. Snow clearing is important. You do not want to lead to this scenario, which was a roof collapse. If you do have a high level or high snow load on structures, this is a risk. Definitely think about safety. Try not to clear this kind of thing alone. When possible, use the long-handed rakes, poles, things like that. If you have a ladder, make sure the base is anchored. And just plan ahead. Make sure if you're clearing it off, you know where the snow lands on. You don't want it to land on you. So just kind of mitigation strategies here for that. Don't forget your pets either. Outdoor things that we have talked about, they're just as damaging for pets as well. They can have their paw pads freeze, and things like that. So make sure outdoor animals have adequate shelter and access to unfrozen water, because frostbite occurs here too. So that is also important. I see I was trying to finish up. I apologize. This was a rather quick webinar. I did want to leave some time for questions, or if anybody has any best practices that they wanted to share. Obviously, with any kind of winter traveling, stay aware of the conditions. A lot of your emergency management response agencies, depending on the area, they have code red, they have Everbridge that you can actually sign up and have warnings disseminated right to your phone. And also if you're going somewhere, let people know, especially with travel, because if you do get lost, you don't want someone to have to search the entire countryside where you are. Definitely awareness where you're going, where you're coming back is huge. I guess just throwing it out there here. Is there any other questions or best practices that anybody in the group wants to share? We do have some individuals that do caregiving and our emergency response.
Any questions? Feel free to put them in chat, or else you can unmute and ask.
I just have a comment. And many times in the winter, people that have light colored cars, white cars, don't always use their lights. And that is so dangerous. And like I said, that's kind of a frequent thing that I noticed a lot. I've had several close calls with people who have not had their lights on and following in the storm. So, and another thing is so important to stay away from those snow plows. Let those drivers do their work. If they're involved in a collision or something, and I know this from previous work, that sometimes they're going to pull those plows off the route, if they've been in an accident, and that just delays that just makes a bigger delay, you know, for people trying to get someplace. You know, it endangers, you know, people that are responding, such as the emergency, you know, people having to respond to a car accident. So they're out there to keep the roads as clear and safe for all of us as possible. So that's really an important message.
Absolutely. Those are pearls of wisdom. Thank you for sharing all important points.
I have something to share that happened to me. So I work from my home and I had a space heater going. And I always imagine like if a space heater was going to go out, there would be warning signs, like maybe it wouldn't start up or it'd act funny or whatever. No, mine made this popping sound and then sparks flew out of it. And it actually inside there was a little fire. So if I hadn't been home, I can't imagine what would have happened, but just a little tidbit that they don't give you warning signs necessarily. They can just suddenly malfunction. And so I'm just happy I was home. Any other questions or comments?
I will say, although it wasn't maybe said on this presentation, a lot of your emergency managers and your response personnel do countless things behind the scenes to try to make sure that everybody is protected during winter storms, from notification to lining up shelters and resources, even if they don't open. Don't let winter weather scare you. A lot of people behind the scenes have done advanced planning so that things can just snap into place and make sure that people are safe. So hats off to the emergency managers and the response personnel and other agencies and caregivers that do this advanced planning that all of you are on the call to do, because it is so incredibly important to get that muscle memory going so that in a disaster, not only can you be safe in the winter, but you can help your neighbors, help your family, help friends, those people around you, because that's what our area in Northwest Minnesota does. That's what we're known for. So thank you for coming on to this call and helping not only yourself, but to spread this message and keep others safe as well. It really does make a difference.
I was going to just mention one other thing too that happened to us recently is that our carbon monoxide detector that we had just a plug-in in the wall, it started making a sound, and so we thought, oh my gosh, it's detecting something. Well, it was a different sound than what it was when we would test it, and so we read on the back, and it actually had an expiration date on it, and it said it would make this unique sound when it was past that date. So note that you might want to pay attention to that, because if they do expire, they might not work properly. So I thought that was interesting. I did not know that.
Absolutely. Battery life too, depending on your alert.
All right. Anything else? We're seeing a few comments here. Thanks for the information. Great information. Well done, Jennifer. And thank you for the presentation. Good to have a refresher coming into the winter months.
Feel free to reach out to some of your response personnel, your emergency managers. They're there to help you and can definitely give you additional information on what's going on in your locality. So
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you all for attending. We appreciate it. And just keep in mind that we do have webinars that we offer on at least a monthly basis, sometimes more often. And so most of those are usually advertised on our Facebook page.
thank you, everybody, for listening. You are all appreciated.